So you got your awesome Holley EFI installed in your old hot rod. But did you know when you do that, you should probably change your PCV valve? Specifically, you should probably get rid of the shaky one. Let's talk about it. What's up, everybody? I'm Jeremy. Welcome back to Catfish Motorsports. This here is my 1967 Firebird. It has a Holley Terminator X Stealth installed on it. It's been installed on there for a couple years, and I've generally been very happy with it. But I have had an intermittent problem, specifically off of cold starts, where I would start driving around and it just wouldn't want to idle down. I could feel it fighting me as I would be going around curves. You slow down a little bit to go around the curve and you just feel it doesn't drop as much as it should. There's also a little parameter called IAC. Generally, it stays about 30 when you're under cruise, but when you slow down, you like to see it gradually drop down to 0 when you're at idle. And that just wasn't happening, or it wasn't happening quick enough. And then even more occasionally, intermittent problems are the worst thing to troubleshoot. But sometimes, coming off of one of those days, I would stop and put it in park, and then the idle would really skyrocket up to like 2,000 RPM at idle when I have it set at more like 900. So after dealing with this intermittently for a while, I called my friends at EFI Systems Pro. And if you've watched any of my videos on Holley EFI before, you've heard me say that you should buy your system from them. That still stands true. I'm going to tell you why right now, because they responded back with it today and gave me a really simple answer. It turns out that that is a common issue with the normal variable type PCV valves that most people have installed in their old cars and came installed from the factory in these cars. And they said that I needed to switch to a fixed or metered PCV valve. Let's see what that is. So this guy is a traditional variable style PCV valve. Billions of them out there. Chances are you have one in your vehicle. See, it's got a pretty sizable hole in the bottom of it, and it's got a check valve in it that when it's sensing vacuum, it pulls it up and it allows that positive crankcase ventilation to be sucked out and back into your vacuum system. This guy, on the other hand, is a metered PCV valve, no shaky. And you can see comparatively, and I'll get you a close-up on this, this has a single fixed hole. There's no ball valve in it. This is very simply a calibrated leak. That's it. So this may be in the fine print somewhere in Holley's install guides, but I didn't know about it, and if I didn't know about it, chances are you guys don't know about it either. It seems like most of the Holley EFI systems just don't like these variable valves. They want that consistent vacuum leak that a fixed or metered PCV valve is going to provide you. Now, these aren't hard to find. I'll give you the part number for this one. It's an AC Delco number, but all you really got to do is go and look up a PCV valve for an early LS pickup truck. Look up like a 2003 1500 Silverado with a 5.3 and look up its PCV valve. That's what you need. Interestingly, this guy's from O'Reilly's, and the picture showed that it should only have a little metered orifice like this, but then when I actually got it, it didn't. So beware of that. Check the part before you leave the store. This was only like $2, so I'm not even going to bother taking it back. I'll throw it on the shelf. It'll get used eventually. Now, elephant in the room, I can hear some of you guys know, oh, why are you running a PCV valve anyway? If you've already made up your mind about it, I'm not here to argue with you. But for those of you with malleable minds who want to know why you would run a PCV valve, it's simply because you should on any, even vaguely street motor, even a street strip motor, you should be running a PCV valve. I think there is a common misconception that PCV, positive crankcase ventilation valves, are emission systems. And that is not true. And if you don't believe me, just look at early Chevy V8s. Look at like early 283s that had that smokestack style air draft tube. That's accomplishing the same thing. That is an early positive crankcase ventilation system. And that was just ventilated straight into the air. So you can't tell me that that is an emission system, because it's not. Now these, which were designed later, are better for emissions, but they also function better all the time. It's not just when you're moving and they have heavy airflow across them. These are actually designed to function so that when you are at idle and don't need all the beans, that's when it's actually ventilating. When you've got your foot all the way down on the happy pedal, your engine's not producing any vacuum at that point, and these are non-functional. So in a properly functioning PCV system, they're not affecting your max power or your quarter mile times at all. There's even some studies that say they help a little bit. In theory, it's going to help your ring seal a little bit. I'm not going to argue that either way. The point is, it's a null value, and you should be running one. Combustion gases are nasty. You don't want those hanging out inside your engine, and every engine has a little bit of blow-by. So even in a dead fresh engine, you're going to have some blow-by. You're going to have those corrosive gases in your system, and you don't want them in there. And if you don't believe me, it's just because you've never looked at the hot side of a turbo that's got a couple 100,000 miles on it. The exhaust caused by internal combustion is nasty stuff. You don't want it left in your crankcase. The OEMs figured that out in the 40s or 50s. So don't listen to your buddy that says, oh, you just need 2 breathers on the side. Don't listen to that guy. So, end of the day, this is a simple fix. Now remember, like I said, my problem was intermittent, so your mileage may vary on this. You may install your Sniper or Terminator X and have not had this issue, but why mess with it? And because this is a $5 part. So if you're just fresh installing your system, or if you've had one for a while and had some occasional idle or cruise issues that you can't figure out why you're having them, this little thing right here could be your culprit, and it's a super easy fix. Now I do have one more note, and this is specifically for my Pontiac brethren. A lot of you guys out there with Pontiac power, if you've got your PCV valve in the factory location, it probably looks something like this, and it's plugged into a grommet that goes inside of your valley pan instead of inside your valve cover like you see a lot of Chevys and stuff like that, which means the big nipple there goes inside here, and unfortunately, your standard size PCV valve will not go in that hole, but never fear, there's an easy fix. This is just a basic valve cover grommet. It's probably made for a 1-inch hole. I didn't measure it. I just pulled this out of a valve cover that I had up there on the shelf, and it pops right in, and then your standard fit PCV valve will go right in there. So you don't have to get crazy custom. I actually saw online where somebody like cut this in half, took all the guts out of it, welded the tip of this onto one of them, and made his own factory look PCV valve for a Pontiac, which that's awesome. You can totally do that if you want to go to the links, but it's really not necessary. Just grab yourself a standard valve cover gasket. Because these things kind of have some different tolerances to them, you might have to try a couple different brands before you find one that fits just right. This one fit a little loose initially, but as soon as you stuff the valve in there, it fills it out and then it fit really tight. That's it, guys. Super easy one. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Keep your hot rods on the road. We'll see you next time.